Welcome back to the channel. Woo, the Fuji X-H2 is coming in May. Let's talk about it. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you had a great Christmas and a new year. 2022 is here, and so is Fujifilm's new X-H2, which is gonna be announced in May. We're gonna go through all the lists of everything that we know that are rumors and what we do know to be confirmed of the X-H2. So let's break down everything that we know for a fact is coming on the X-H2. Let's go. Everything that we do know so far. Number one, the Fuji X-H2 will definitely be 8K. That we know because they announced it themselves. Secondly, we know that the sensor itself is going to be a BSI sensor. So that's a backside illuminated sensor. Now, the newer Sony cameras have this technology, and I suspect somehow that they are using the Sony sensors inside this new Fuji X-H2. There's also some other stuff which we're gonna get into a little bit later, and why there may be an X-Trans and not an X-Trans sensor. But hold on, we're gonna get into that. What we've also been told is that the Fuji X-H2 will cost less than $2,500. That's gonna be cheaper than the GH6, which will be very interesting actually. I don't know how Panasonic's gonna respond to that. Maybe they'll lower the price of the GH6, but I'm hoping certainly that the X-H2 is not going to be too expensive, and certainly if the rumors are true, we may be seeing two different price models, and I'm going to get into that again in a second. And obviously if it's a 8K sensor, that means we need to have a higher megapixel camera. So for sure, it's going to be at least 40 megapixels, right? Oh, by the way, I keep changing the lens focal length because I'm actually in a very tiny room. So I'll show you right now what I mean. Woo! You gotta love the 10 to 22. It actually makes the room look a lot bigger than what it is. Okay, so breaking down the rumors, what do we think is gonna happen? Hold on a second. I don't like the lighting situation here. Let me just change something. That's a bit better. Now let's dig into what might be the most surprising rumor of all, in the fact that there might actually be two different X-H2 cameras. Now I've got a little theory on this. I think that they're gonna go for the 26 megapixel camera, and they're gonna go for the 40 megapixel range to get that 8K. And I think the 26 one will be, you know, your bog standard 4K camera, maybe with improved photo capabilities, something along those lines in the X-H2 body. I also think that the higher megapixel one, now I don't know if I'm right in saying this, it's either going to be like a mini Sony A1, which I believe where they're getting their sensors from. They're going to allow ProRes RAW on that camera, and I think that's only going to be reserved for the higher tier camera, and I think that's where they're going with this, because when you look at the GFX cameras, they're the only ones in the Fuji lineup right now that have ProRes RAW or Blackmagic RAW enabled, and they are not X-Trans sensors. So that makes me think that the 40 megapixel camera will not have an X-Trans sensor, and that's my theory. We don't know yet for sure. That's just the rumors so far, but I believe that's the reason why there's going to be two different sensors. So it's going to be interesting to see what they say, what they come out with. If they do come out with ProRes RAW on the 4K version, that will also be good for users who want to upgrade their video specs and capabilities when they're out shooting, because while we love shooting with the X-T3, having like compressed H.265 outputting to ProRes is cool, but all the other cameras now have got ProRes RAW, so you know we want that flexibility and we want that professionalism in our cameras when we can do so. Now, I'm a huge fan of the Fujifilm cameras. I think that the design great. I actually think the dials are suitable for video, but I would like to see some improvements on these cameras for the X-H2. And here's some of the things I would like. Number one, for video, I would like to see a better dynamic range. And while the X-T3 is actually no slouch in the X-T4, I still think that it needs to be, you know, Panasonic and Sony territory to really certify its dominance in this field. And if they keep it the same, then, you know, it's no bad thing, as long as they don't make it worse. I think if they make it worse, then, you know, people are going to start talking a little bit, you know, it's going to be a bit iffy. The cameras, I think, just about hit just enough dynamic range for me, but I would love to see that improvement there, especially for the shadows and the highlights and everything like that. Secondly, I would like to see built-in ND filters. That's one of the big things for me. I would love to have just like a body C70 style maybe. If they did that, oh my gosh, sales would skyrocket. Although at the price range that they're quoting, I don't think that's ever gonna happen. But internal NDs would be great, maybe even electronic NDs. I don't know how Sony does it, but something like that could work. I'm a fan of the bodies, but I would like to see a more video-centric camera. I'd love to see that box style that we've been seeing lately with a lot of manufacturers. I just think that really that is the way forward because it's so versatile. You can rig it up how you want and everything, and you can put it on a gimbal or a tripod and everything. It's just a small little cube. I don't think we're gonna see that, to be honest with you. I don't think Fujifilm are quite there yet. We're maybe 1 or 2 generations away from them actually certifying more dominance in the market and being able to like provide that to hybrid shooters, you know, that next step up. So it's going to be interesting to see what they come out with. Hopefully though, maybe they might come out with an S1H style, or like I said, C70 style body. I wouldn't mind that either, as long as it's not too big and too heavy. And it's got to have like inside, you know, the internal fans, something to keep the camera cool, because although that they're quite good at heat management, they do sometimes heat up a little bit and you start to get like an overheating sign. Now, that's not all the time, but I have started to notice it a bit more lately. And obviously, you know, my X-T3 is a bit older now, so that may be the case. And especially on the X-T4, I've heard a lot of overheating issues on that. All right, folks, that's it. That's all the rumors. There's not much else to tell you. Yes, it is more video orientated, and I don't know what they can do in terms of photography. Maybe the autofocus speed could be like up to par with Canons or Sonys. That would be amazing. And it's not terrible now, but there are sometimes a few hit and misses, and it's probably, you know, not the best it can be. And I think we're probably like 4th in line, maybe even 5th behind Nikon now. Nikon have really stepped up the game. So I'd really love to see Fuji pump up that autofocus capabilities in this system and really showcase what this camera is all about. Anyway, let me know what you think about the rumors so far. The 2 different X-H2 style bodies, that's certainly interesting. The 2 different sensors, will you miss the X-Trans sensor, or would you actually like to go into a different sensor now that we've gone into further generations of the camera? Or is that what makes the Fujifilm cameras so unique? I don't think people had any issues with the GFX cameras, so maybe it's not going to be an issue now. Anyway, let me know what you think. Comments down below. Thumbs up, subscribe, alert button, all that for jazz. I'm out, Slifey. Peace out.